Hey everybody, and good afternoon. My name is Derek. Today is March 10th, 2019. And in this video, we're going to be discussing the plane crash of Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302, which is said to have gone down several minutes after takeoff from Bole International Airport in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia today. So in this video, we're going to be covering a wide range of topics related to this plane crash. We're going to be discussing how the date numerology lines up with the flight number, with Ethiopian Airlines, the company. We're also going to discuss how this crash aligns with local politicians. Now, in all of my videos, whenever there's a serious event, we always look at the date that the state was admitted to the Union, if it happened in the United States, as well as the date the governor took office. When the story is international, we look at the dates that the prime minister or president of that nation took office, as well as their Independence Day. And we're going to be discussing all of these and how everything lines up. What we're also going to be looking at is the Lion Air 610 plane crash from October 29th, which, to my memory, is the most recent major plane crash and is definitely numerically related to this one. So bear with me as I cover a lot of numbers in this video, but it should make a lot of sense to those who are familiar with the study. If you're not familiar with the study, these are the four base ciphers we're using here on the screen. We start with the alphabetic order, which numbers the alphabet 1 through 26, each letter relative to its position. The reduction method uses the rules of numerology to reduce each double-digit number to a single digit before adding it to the equation. And when you begin paying attention to these methods, it becomes very clear that something very strange is going on. So first, let's talk about the flight number, 302. When we write out 302 in Gematria, notice how we get a reduction value of 56 and 43 with the alphabetic order reversed. These are the same two values as plane crash. Plane crash sums to 43 and 56. In October of last year, when we had the Lion Air plane crash, you may recall how that plane had serial number 43,000. And, of course, plane crash, as we're looking at right here, equals 43 in reduction. The pilot of that plane in October, his name sums to 43 in the same cipher. In numerology, the number 302 represents the number 32, since zeros can be ignored. The word crash equals 32. The 32nd prime number is 131, and today is the 10th of March. Prime numbers are perhaps one of the most significant relationships in this study to understand, and these are definitely used in everything. Like Zach mentioned, here we are in the month of March, by the way, and March equals 43. Also notice the 25. 25 being the reverse value of death. Also notice how death equals 97. 97 is the 25th prime number, so we have what we call a prime number relationship right here in the reverse values. Today's date numerology, life lesson number 3 plus 10 plus 2 plus 1 plus 9 of 25. Again, the 25th prime is 97. The word plane crash, summing to 97. Same as the word Ethiopian, which equals 97. Also notice how Ethiopian and plane crash both sum to 52 in reduction. Today's date, 3 plus 10 plus 20 plus 19, sums to 52. Interesting thing that Zach notices here, too, is that we have been seeing stories about MH370, a flight that disappeared over the ocean. That plane crashed on March 8th, or 3/8. That date can also be written 8/3. Ethiopia in the alphabetic order equals 83. Also notice how Ethiopian Airlines, when we look at the Wikipedia page, we see that it was founded on December 21st, 1945. That was a date with 97, 52, and 25 numerology. All of these numbers related to the Gematria of plane crash and the date of the Ethiopian crash today. Now, if we measure from this last significant plane crash, the one that occurred in Indonesia in October of 2018, measuring to the date of this crash, we find it's 133 days later. And using the reverse alphabetic order, the word Ethiopia equals 133. And it was flight 302. 302 sums to 133 in the reverse order as well. All right, so what we're also going to be talking about is the Prime Minister of Ethiopia and how his numbers line up to this plane crash. So normally, like I said, we measure to the date of the nation's Independence Day. However, when you look at Africa and all the nations here, you realize that Ethiopia is the only one without an official Independence Day. There is a significant holiday, though, called Ethiopian Patriots Victory Day, which commemorates the victory over the Italians in the 30s, which ultimately did lead to their independence. That holiday is celebrated on May 5th every year. Well, today's plane crash on 3/10 falls a span of 310 days after that holiday. 310 represents the number 31 in numerology. This prime minister is named Ahmed, which equals 31. The 31st prime number is 127. And this is really significant because in Gematria, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, sums to 127. And check this out. On the date 127, just earlier this year, Prime Minister Ahmed was at this Ethiopian airport to open up the expansion. Look at this, January 27th. And this event happened by the numbers. If we measure from January 27th, the date of this opening where Ahmed came and inaugurated the new section of the airport, we find the crash happened 42 days later. And why does this number stick out? Well, Prime Minister Ahmed assumed office on April 2nd of last year, the date written 4/2. And today's date, August 15th to today's date, look at this, he's 42 years old. Now, the 42nd prime number is 181. Today's crash falls a span of 181 days after 9/11, or September 11th. And 181, remember this Lion airplane crash? This happened 181 days after the airport's anniversary, and 181 passengers were killed. And now we're talking about a plane crash 181 days after 9/11. Recall this Lion Air plane crash was heavily connected to the September 11th attacks. See how Lion Air equals 78 and 111? Also the 42, 181 passengers dying. New York also equals 111 and 78. And on the date of the Lion Air crash, the plane that crashed was in operation for 78 days, or 11 weeks and 1 day. Furthermore, Lion Air, the company, was 19 years and 10 days old, or 1911 with the end date. The pilot had 191 Gematria. So many connections to 9/11. Well, now check this out. Ethiopian Airlines, founded on December 21st, that date is 9 months, 11 days after today's plane crash. The Prime Minister, Abiy Ahmed, he's been in office for exactly 11 months and 9 days. And in reduction, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed sums to 119, the inverse of 9/11. Ethiopia celebrates New Year's Day on the date September 11th, or 9/11. Now, if we flip the number 9/11 upside down, we get the number 116. This plane took off from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, which sums to 116, and it crashed in the town of Bishoftu. In the reverse alphabetic order, Bishoftu equals 116. Yeah, there was something with 322 in this also. I noticed how this crash is 3 months and 22 days before the next total solar eclipse. Seems to be something there as well. Next, we're going to look at this kill and sacrifice code. The numbers of killing and sacrifice heavily coded into this incident. And let's just start with the gematria of Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302, such as the Wikipedia article here is labeled. Notice how this sums to 380 in reverse. The word death equals 38, so does the word killing. 38. Murder. 38. Using the alphabetic order, this sums to 251. Ritual sacrifice equals 251 in reverse. So taking a glance at Jewish or Latin gematria, notice how 10th of March equals 431. Well, this is the 83rd prime number. Ethiopia equals 83, just like the word murder, 83 in reverse. Now in ordinal, murder equals 79. And Ethiopian Airlines is 79 days after its anniversary on today's date. But what's really interesting is how Ethiopian Airlines is 73 years old. And this really stands out because this Lion Air plane crash from October occurred when Indonesia was 73 years and 73 days after its independence. Both the words sacrifice and ritual sacrifice sum to 73. This plane crash took place in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, or at least that's where the airport is. Notice how this sums to 73 in reduction. Also, Addis Ababa itself in reverse reduction, 73. And this brings us to the president of Ethiopia. Her name is, I don't know, Sally Work Zood, if that's how it's pronounced. Anyway, she was born on a date with standard numerology of 73, and when she took office last year, that date had full numerology of 73. And just look at her name, Sally Work Zood. Notice how in the reverse alphabetic order, it sums to 203. Well, think about the flight number. 302, the reverse of 203, which is her reverse value. And then check this out. 302, in two of our most significant ciphers, English and Jewish, sums to 1306 and 137. Well, if you measure from the date that she took office on October 25th last year, this is 136 days later, and including the end date, it's 137 days. This measurement also translates to 19 weeks and 3 days. 10th of March equals 193. This is the 44th prime number. And using the alphabetic order, Addis Ababa equals 44. The word kill equals 44. In reduction, kill equals 17, and President Zood is 17 days after her birthday. Also, she's 69 years old. Today, March 10th, is the 69th day of the year. And her full name has capital letter gematria of 347, which is the 69th prime number. In Hebrew gematria, the word sacrifice equals 347, just like her name. And this CNN article gave us some really killer gematria. Let me pull this page up real quick. Oh, interesting catch. Bobby says that Venus is at 310 degrees on the ecliptic today on March 10th. I know there's something to that. Check out this gematria here. All right. So CNN, of course, well-versed in the language of gematria. I said whoa there because the sound went on. So check this out. In our, we have a couple of alternate reduction methods. The Chaldean method, septenary, single reduction. This headline pops in all of these ciphers. It's really out there. English extended, look at this. We get a 3047, like sacrifice, like President Zood's name, the 69th prime, the 69th day of the year. In septenary, it sums to 218, which is the extended value of death. 329 in single reduction, that's the reverse value of ritual human sacrifice. We also have 599, the 109th prime number, and 199, the 46th prime number. Kill equals 19 and 46 in Hebrew. 46 also being the gematria of sacrifice. So they really lit up the calculator with some good numbers on this headline. Now, another thing I commonly talk about is how most of these major news events occur in relation to total solar eclipses. And I found it interesting that today is a span of 202 days after the anniversary of the most recent total solar eclipse. Total solar eclipse equals 202. And this story is the crash equals 202, of a 737. 737 equals 202. So that was the most recent eclipse, 202 days after the anniversary. If we instead look at the next total solar eclipse, we find it's 115 days. And if I'm not mistaken, total eclipse equals 115 with all reduction exceptions. Oops. And in Jewish gematria, Addis Ababa equals 115. In that same method, killing equals 115. Killing also equals 115 in reverse. Something I should have mentioned earlier, guys, in regards to the whole 9/11 riddle. This crash occurring 9 months, 11 days before the founding of Ethiopian Airlines anniversary. It happened 11 months, 9 days into Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's tenure. His name equals 119. Well, 33 years before 2001, which had the 9/11 attacks, was 1968. That's when World Trade Center construction began. 911, the emergency dialing code in the year 68. Well, both the president of Ethiopia, Sally Work Zood, her name equals 68 in reduction, and then the Prime Minister, Abiy Ahmed, equals 68 in English ordinal. To top it off, this plane that crashed was headed to Nairobi, which equals 68. So there's definitely a whole lot of alignments here. Oh, that's a good point. Oh, okay. Great catch. Zach's in the chat and threw this out there. Today was the crash of Flight 302. This last airplane crash, Lion Air Flight 610, crashed on the 302nd day of the year. So that definitely stands out. I hope I didn't miss too many other things here in the chat. Of course, there's always some Illuminati riddle there, which Zach is on top of. So, yeah, there you have it, guys. This plane crash, 100% by the numbers. Remember, too, that this plane was a fairly new Boeing 737. And the Lion Air plane that crashed was also a fairly new Boeing 737. So, if it's true that these planes are crashing and killing a lot of people, it certainly seems that these events are planned in advance. Or at the very least, they know it's going to happen. But my concern is that many people are losing their lives because of this sick gang that's insistent on running these rituals out by the numbers. All right, everybody, so that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe, as, once again, this type of content is heavily censored online. Peace and love, everybody. Adios.